Well, that's all it took for leftists to want more Palestinians to die. Donald J. Trump has officially gotten all of the Israeli hostages that were taken from their families, kidnapped 2 years ago by Hamas terrorists. He got them home, the ones that are still alive. This is an unbelievable moment in history, honestly. And an unbelievable moment for Israel, for the U.S. And honestly, I have to just say, thank God that we got to this point. Thank you, God. Because that dude, God, he's been pulling the strings, and this has been an unbelievable journey. So I am going to walk you through everything that's going on, as well as cover a lot of the Israeli stuff that's happening that the American media isn't really talking about. Because not only are we going to be talking about what Trump just did, which is an unbelievable victory for the United States, for peacekeeping, for honestly the United States holding esteem on a world stage that every single woke retard screaming about Palestine couldn't do, but also an unbelievable moment for humanity, for Western civilization. I know that a lot of people are anti-Israel. That's fine. You have every right to have whatever political opinions you want. You can have whatever opinions you want of every foreign nation. But I'm going to actually give you some facts here that I don't think anyone told you, because this isn't like a mainstream opinion, because anyone that'll say the things that I say are going to get slandered as pro-genocide, and then they're going to try to kill them. But unfortunately, I've been getting so many death threats, I just do it these days. So I'm going to give you all the news. And honestly, and I'm not going to lie to you, you've been lied to. You have been lied to by the biggest PSYOP propaganda campaign of our lives, propagated by a population of over 1 billion people that would like to see Israel destroyed, of a specific religion. Now, this is a very peaceful religion, historically. All right, let's go before we get killed. Anyway, this is the front page of the Jerusalem Post. God bless the peacemaker. I'll be real here. The amount that Israel's respecting Trump over this is incredibly based. It's almost like they don't give a shit that they're gonna get called Nazis and fascists, because that's what the media and everyone's been doing to Israel for the last couple of years. So, hey, I guess they could just go ahead. Now, if you think Trump is a fascist, then you probably think Israel's fascist too. If you don't think so, and you don't really have opinions about Israel, honestly, that's fine. You don't have to. If that's another nation, you don't have to have opinions. But I'm going to actually give you all the facts here, because you've been lied to. You've been lied to so much. So much. So, this is what the speaker for the Israeli Knesset, that's the Israeli parliament, this is what he had to say. And honestly, it's a pretty good glaze.
Therefore, I hereby announce that together with our good friend, Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, we will rally speakers and presidents of parliaments from around the world to submit your candidacy for the Nobel Prize, Peace Prize, next year. There is no one deserving than you, Trump.
Honestly,
no
true.
One.
Standing ovation. Dude, again, this is, honestly, it's the respect he deserves. He fucking, he's got these hostages back. I'm going to give you some lore that you're not ready for. What's currently going on in Gaza that the media just doesn't care about. Now, look how insane this is. This is Trump before even going to speak. And they give him a standing ovation before he even starts talking. And they keep clapping. And they keep clapping. And they keep clapping. And Trump joins the clapping. Because, like, what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? Everyone's clapping. He's such a funny guy, this man. Oh, my God. And I'm just thinking of the leftoids that hate every second of this. Hell, they're crying for Palestine, and Trump is the guy that stopped the war. Wow, that's kind of insane. Anyway, the clapping lasts for a full minute because, honestly, they respect the shit out of him, as they should. I'll be real. Now, Trump he said some pretty interesting things in his speech. I'm going to show you the highlights, and then I'm going to show you what's currently going on in the world. The leftoids freaking out, and people in Gaza, Palestinians in Gaza getting murdered by Hamas in Gaza. It's almost like they're a terrorist organization that literally wants to kill their own people in order to use it as propaganda against the West. It's almost like the greatest psyop of our lifetime just happened in front of our eyes, and so many people fell for it. They don't even know it's a psyop.
And let me also convey my tremendous appreciation for all of the nations of the Arab and Muslim world that came together to press Hamas to set the hostages free.
For the record, every leftoid was like, "No, I'm not going to make peace with them. They're tyrants. So why would I make peace with them in order to try to stop wars?" And Trump is like, "Look, we have different cultures. I don't respect that they're tyrants, but we are going to be allies, and it's going to make the world a better place. You don't need to make peace with your friends." And he did. He managed to make peace with Muslim countries that realistically are completely opposites in their way of life to the West. and he managed to make peace with them. And this is why Hamas actually gave up. You see, Hamas, terrorist organization, they wanted the Palestinians to die. They're a death cult. They wanted the Palestinians to die. It's based on their traditions, their culture. This is what they've said. They've repeatedly said this. They use them as human shields because they want them to die so that they could use the bodies of the Palestinians as a propaganda war against the West, which is why you have pro-Palestine protests in every street in every city, because essentially it worked. The PSYOP worked, and a lot of people thought that there was like an actual genocide or something. This is, again, the biggest lie, I think, of my lifetime is that this wasn't a war that, you know, realistically started because Hamas started a war, took a bunch of hostages, and Israel wanted their people back. Realistically, that's the case. And everyone and every propagandist is doing their absolute best to spin it. And you will notice the ones that spin it most are the ones that hate the West or Israel or Jews or Christians or, you know, that entire biblical framework of the world that's being attacked by the Antifa freaks and by radical Islam. Those are the people that are trying to convince you that this is happening. But Trump managed to make peace with Arab countries and use the Arab countries that he befriended to pressure Hamas to release the hostages.
And to send them home. We had a lot of help. We had a lot of help from a lot of people that you wouldn't suspect. And I want to thank them very much for that. It's an incredible triumph for Israel and the world to have all of these nations working together as partners in peace. And it's pretty unusual for you to see that, but it happened in this case. This was a very unusual point in time, a brilliant point in time. Generations from now, this will be remembered as the moment that everything began to change and change very much for the better.
Look, every time he says this, he ends up proven right. God bless President Trump, man. This is crazy.
Like the USA right now, it will be the golden age of Israel and the golden age of the Middle East. It's going to work together.
Yeah. If he actually brings the Middle East together, that would probably be like that. That's like Rick and Morty levels of dystopia. All right, like if that actually happens, that's insane. That's insane. You know, he promised to end the war, bring the hostages home. Well, he ended the war and he brought the hostages home. It's almost like he keeps his promises for the most part, which is pretty rare as far as politicians go. And honestly, pretty incredible. It's pretty incredible to see this in real time. Now, it gets even wilder. So this is what Netanyahu had to say. Honestly, giving him the respect he deserves, which no fucking libtard leader of any nation ever does. All right, they'll all kiss his ass to his face, but they'll never actually say something that'll get them criticism.
No American president has ever done more for Israel. And as I said in Washington, it ain't even close. It's really not a match. Mr. President, today we welcome you here to thank you for your pivotal leadership in putting forward a proposal that got the backing of almost the entire world.
True. Despite the whole world hating Trump, the entire Western world screaming about how they hate Trump, the whole world backed this up behind the scenes, but in front call him a fascist. They call him a fascist to his face, but they know that he's fucking getting results and saving the fucking world. We are living in a PSYOP, all right? Wake up, bros. Bros and hoes, it's happening.
A proposal that brings all our hostages home.
Now, you have to understand the Israeli perspective for a second. I'm going to give you lore here that you probably don't hear from other places. All right? The October 7th attack that started this entire war, when Hamas attacked Israel, I'll give you an equivalent in American numbers. If there was a terrorist organization in Mexico, hypothetically, and they decided to jump over the border, kill 40,000 people in Texas, and take 1,000 Texans as hostage, I would want the president of the United States to fuck up Mexico until every single person comes back. Now, obviously, this didn't happen. Mexico's not doing this, thank God, obviously. But, hypothetically, if this was the reality, Mexico's fucking around, and Mexico would find out. And I would want the United States to use every morsel of their power to get every single person home. And you could cry about, you know, civilian casualties in war, but you started the fucking war. Now, you have to understand the context. Hamas attacked Israel with no hope of success in destroying Israel. Israel is a nuclear nation. Hamas are savage, barbarian, rapist pedophiles, but they don't have the power to take down a Western-backed, honestly, technologically very advanced country. They knew this, and they went in knowing that they had no chance of success. They went in knowing that the retaliation would kill thousands of people in Gaza, and they did it anyway because they're a death cult. because to them that is worth it. Think about the win. You kill 1,000 Jews and then you get to use 60,000 Palestinian dead people as propaganda. Now, I'm going to give you some more lore. This is honestly insane. So, in the Knesset, the Israeli parliament, there are some pro-Palestine people there because, unlike, again, what the media tells you, it's not some apartheid state where, you know, Muslims and Arabs are being considered second-class citizens. That's not true. There actually are Arab and Muslim members of the parliament in Israel because it's the only Western-style democracy in the Middle East, despite what the agitators and the bot farmers on the internet tell you. So this is some guy screaming at Trump, and this is what happens.
Over and over again.
Right, so this dude started shitting on Trump, right? This guy over here, member of parliament, he started screaming at Trump in the middle of Trump's speech. You know, obviously he's more pro-Hamas or whatever. And this dude yells in Hebrew, kick him the fuck out! And goodbye.
Knesset member, please expel this Knesset member.
Yeah.
The Knesset member Kasif.
Yeah, so Kasif is a Arab guy, not Jewish, despite, again, the apartheid label that's slapped on Israel, which is just a lie.
Please expel him immediately.
Bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye. Okay. Yeah, so dude was a piece of shit. He was yelling at Trump, and they're like, all right, get him out. Get him out. We're not dealing with this stupid fucking bullshit that happens like in Congress when someone yells at Trump and they just leave him there, and then they kick him out, and then he cries about free speech for 6 months on television. So they removed him. The bald Israeli men removed him. Bald Israeli men are one of the most dangerous breeds of creature on the planet. Never mess with a bald Israeli man. That guy will fuck you up.
Mr. President.
That was very efficient.
He's so shocked because he's so used to getting heckled in Congress where you can't do anything about it because then they cry on CNN about free speech. And here they're just like, all right, we're not dealing with this shit. Anyway, so I just thought that was very funny. I just felt like showing that to you. So anyway, this is the BBC. Again, leftoid media doing what leftoid media does. Watch how despicable this is. All right, so obviously he's making peace. Everyone's been crying and screaming in the streets about the poor Palestinians that are dying in a war that they started, which again is a tragedy. Most of these civilians didn't necessarily want to start a war. Some of them definitely did. Most of them probably didn't. And a lot of them died, and that's really sad. So don't get me wrong, that's sad that they're dying in a war that they started. But unfortunately, that's war literally every single time. That's what happened after Japan attacked the United States. That's what happened after Germany attacked England. They got fucked up. So anyway, look at how the BBC covers this.
I'd like to thank several great American patriots for their invaluable help in getting something done that almost everyone thought was absolutely
impossible. Watching BBC News as the U.S. President Donald Trump begins his address to the Israeli parliament, the Knesset. It's a momentous
they're just talking
day
over it.
in the Middle East. All the Israeli hostages are home.
People that love the region. They love the Middle East.
And they cut him off. I can't believe it. So BBC literally just speaks over him and then cuts him off. You can't even make this shit up. They cut the live feed of Trump's speech because they hate that they were wrong and they hate that Trump is the one that made peace. Again, blessed are the peacemakers, man. This is insane. So just to give you some updates, on the ground updates, it's official. There are no more living Israeli hostages in Hamas captivity. Thank God the hostages were released. So personal news. I was praying this morning at, it was like 6 whatever, you know, and that's when I heard that this was happening, and it was an unbelievable moment. You know, I woke up, I just, you know, my phone blew up, and it's truly an unbelievable thing. When I heard, I burst into tears. I'm not gonna lie, because this is an unbelievable thing, and it's something that everyone's been hoping for a really long time. Israel said right after the war started, Hamas needs to surrender and return the hostages, and the war ends. Now, Hamas, the death cult, refused to do that. They refused to release the hostages, and they refused to surrender, and the war didn't end. Now, in the history of conflict, when someone loses badly, they surrender. After Japan got nuked by America, Japan surrendered. Hamas refused, despite the fact that they had no chance of any form of meaningful victory, aside from literally being a death cult. So thank God these poor people that were tortured for 2 years in Hamas torture dungeons were freed. Now, Trump... It never ceases to amaze me how this man voluntarily chose to spend his later years enduring abuse, harassment, smear campaigns, attempted assassinations, by the way. He could have just lived the easiest life imaginable. He's a billionaire, and he's spending them trying to fix years of global mismanagement. He's a hero. I know a lot of people shit on Trump a lot. I think Trump is an unbelievable guy. I really do. And, you know, he bungled the Epstein shit. I'm not going to lie. He definitely did. But for the most part, this guy has been unbelievable. And I do believe he's doing his absolute best to earn a seat in the table of heaven, because he is fighting, I think, an unbelievable battle. across the world. Now, this was announced by Trump right before he left to Israel. The actual numbers that he announced. Now, again, these are Trump's numbers. People, I'm sure, dispute the numbers. But this is incredible to hear. Because, again, this is a fundamental piece of the puzzle. All right? A fundamental piece of the puzzle that no one wants to acknowledge. Listen to what he says, and I'm going to tell you what it means. Because again, you're not going to get this coverage anywhere else. Fucking subscribe to the channel, goddammit. You don't understand the death threats I get for just saying basic truths.
Don't forget, you had October 7th, which was a horrible day, 1,200 people killed. But Hamas has lost 58,000 people. That's big retribution. That's big retribution. People understand that. So, no, I think they're all tired of fighting, and this really gives the whole Middle East. This is beyond Gaza. Gaza is very important, but this is beyond Gaza.
So notice he said Hamas lost 58,000 people. There's a total of between 65 and 70,000 deaths in Gaza that we know of so far. I'm sure they're still going to find more under the rubble. According to this math, all right, according to this math, Hamas lost 58,000 people. The latest overall death toll in Gaza is supposedly 67,000. This amounts to civilian to combatant ratio of 16 Hamas terrorists per civilian. The UN states the average civilian to combatant ratio in wars was 9 to 1. This is 16 to 1. I'm sorry, 9 to 1. This is 0.16 to 1. Sorry, I said that wrong. It's 0.16 civilians for every terrorist that was killed, according to this. Now, again, you have to understand, Israel essentially sent papers before bombing buildings saying, evacuate the building, we're taking down the building. Israel did a lot of demolition because there were a lot of tunnels that were under buildings that were built by Hamas, using Democrat funds, by the way. USAID, our United States government, gave $300 million to Gaza to build of cement. $300 million of cement to build a terror tunnel network. So thanks, leftoids. Very cool. But again, you have to understand, again, I don't think these numbers are accurate, to be honest. I think it's probably somewhere more in the middle. If I'd have to estimate, I would not say it's 0.16 to 1. That's just what Trump said. But I'm just trying to be as realistic as I can. That said, that's not a genocide. Genocide is trying to kill an entire population. If these numbers are anywhere remotely close to accurate, that's a lie. It literally is. Now, the real genocide that's happening right now in the world, in case you were curious and you actually cared about, being a fair and honest person, is happening in Nigeria. 100,000 Christians were murdered in Nigeria because the Muslims there are trying to exterminate all of the Christians. In fact, you could simply look at the map and point out the fact that this was going on for years everywhere. Egypt used to be a Christian majority country. Now it's a Muslim majority country. Liberia used to be a Christian majority country. Now it's a Muslim majority country. Syria used to be a Christian majority country. Now it's a Muslim majority country. The only country in the entire Middle East where the population of Christians has increased over the last 50 years is Israel, because it's the only country that's not murdering Christians. Yeah, you're probably going to have some racist Jews over there spitting on Christians, probably. I'm not going to lie, that's the propaganda that you see. But it's a super, super rare, minute amount. Super rare. Like, I'll be real, I personally think that there's just about, as percentage-wise, as many Christians that hate Jews as Jews that hate Christians. I think it's actually pretty even across the board. Racism exists. That sucks, obviously. I think that we would do much better as allies, personally. I believe we believe in the same core tenets. I think that 90% of our ethics and moral code is basically overlapping. We have the same biblical values, essentially, up to a point. And realistically, I think we're both fighting the same war for the same God. And honestly, that's the most important thing ever. So anyway, so this is what Trump had to say about the alleged genocide in Gaza. Now, I'm going to give you some really crazy things to think about for a second. These were the names of the hostages that were released. These people, thank God, were returned home. You'll notice something really creepy. It's that they're all men. So Hamas took hundreds of hostages. Obviously, I think the majority of the hostages they actually took were women, or pretty close to 50-50. They've only returned men, it seems, and the reason for that is probably because they rape women to death in Hamas torture dungeons and Hamas rape tunnels. That's the literal eyewitness testimony. Again, it's just eyewitness, but please, come on, dude. What are we talking about? You go to Hamas-massacre.net on the internet, you will see the most heart-wrenching footage of all time, gleefully cheering as they mutilate and rip people apart. You look at the UN report, and it talks about how they would mutilate the genitals of women after allegedly raping them. You know, like, it's insane. So this is hundreds of people went at 6:30 to the memorial site of the Nova Music Festival. For the record, this is how this started. Hamas jumped over the border and massacred a bunch of, you know, Israeli, usually young adults, at a Nova Music Festival, a music festival in the desert where people were celebrating music and stuff, and Hamas jumped over the gate and massacred all of them, basically. Some survived, thank God. And this is the memorial site of the Nova Festival, where everyone gathered to pray for the safe return of all the hostages. Right? Just people showing up to pray. This is unbelievable. It's truly unbelievable. What an unbelievable moment. I'll be real. I personally, I hoped this would happen. I really did. And without Trump, it wouldn't have. Realistically, God put Trump in his position, and Trump was the guy that's able to do it. No one else could have, to be honest, because Hamas would have held them until their dying breath. That's what they said they would do. Now, if you actually look, over here on the left is the Holocaust survivors of the actual Holocaust, starved, emaciated people coming out of German concentration camps. And over here, as you can see, are the Gazans that came out of the Gaza Holocaust. They fat. They fat. They fat. They fat. It's almost like the Holocaust was greatly exaggerated. Yes, there was mass destruction of property there, absolutely, but it's almost like it was literally doing everything in their power not to kill people and also not to starve them. Remember the mass starvation campaign that was allegedly happening? Well, interestingly enough, the only people that starved in Gaza, it seems like, were the hostages. This is a Jewish hostage, Aviatar David, and this was him before he was taken, and this was him when Hamas released propaganda videos where they forced him to dig his own grave. This man was starved. He was starved. Now, again, the fat Gazan epidemic continues because you will notice that the circumstances of this famine was greatly exaggerated. See, over here is a very emaciated, skinny Gazan man tapping bags of food. This is after the ceasefire. Saying, you know, we still had 3 months of food. Lol, we got you. I'm sure that there were very hungry Gazan people. Don't get me wrong. When I just say starvation was over-exaggerated, there weren't people dropping dead of hunger. That just wasn't happening. It literally wasn't. Every time that they posted an image of someone dropping dead of hunger, they did some digging, and it was a person with, like, muscular dystrophy. Do the research. Every time you see a picture of a starving man or woman or child from Gaza, do the research, and you'll see that that person actually had a medical disease. A bone issue, a muscle problem. They kept using these sickly people as propaganda to push, like, dude, look, literally look at this. The world fell for the biggest psyop in the history in my lifetime, for sure. And it was to destroy the West. It was so the Free Palestine people could get a foothold on the Western world, not only fuck up the Jews, which was obviously a big part of the plan, not only just, like, you know, ruin Israel's credibility and whatever that is, which is also part of the plan, but honestly, it was just to say, look how immoral and evil the West is, and we need to conquer it. And then the students in the Qatar-funded schools of America all go and protest and scream and yell about genocides, and our propagandists work overtime to, like, dude, give me a break. All right, are you fucking kidding me? Look at his fat ass. The genocide and famine are over, says the fat man. Now, if you look at the way the news was released, it's absolutely mind-boggling. Hamas will release Alon Ahel, a 24-year-old talented pianist and musician that they kept in a torture dungeon for 2 years. Israel will release Nabil Abu Hadir, who murdered his own sister for suspecting she was an Israeli agent. Yeah, these cultures are not the same. In fact, Asmongold was kind of right when he said that there are inferior cultures. So the way this actually works is it's not just 20 hostages getting released. It's 20 hostages getting released, and Israel is releasing hundreds of terrorists in exchange. Now, you'd think that Israel wouldn't need to do that if they were going through a genocide. They would be more than happy to end the genocide, but there's no genocide, and they want more people to die. So no, actually, that's exactly what they want. Now, if you want to see, this is the Quds News Network. This is from the health ministry in Gaza, so take with a grain of salt. From Zahir al-Wahidi, this is what he had to say about the tragic losses in the war. There are 13,000 widows. There are 38,000 orphans, 32,000 fatherless, 4,000 motherless, 1,900 lost both parents. If you look at these numbers, even for a second, you will notice something very real. A, wars are shit, and lots of people die, and that's an incredibly sad thing. But you will notice another thing that's kind of insane. You will notice, and lock in, boys and girls, you will notice that there were literally pinpointed attacks. You will notice that there's no genocide. The fact that they literally killed adult men at a premium is insane. Bro, how is it that there's a genocide where they're supposedly rolling in and exterminating a whole people? However, the vast majority, 80% of deaths, are combat-aged males. Really? A genocide? Again, it's such a fucking fraud. It's insane. 32,000 fatherless, 4,000 motherless. That means they're literally targeting adult males. Are you fucking retarded? Yes, they're fucking retarded. Hassan says he's a propagandist for Hamas terrorists. Is there anyone who thinks that their lives get better under this administration? I get Twitter's the worst place to ask, but seriously, the Palestinians think so. And no one cares, because no one ever cared about the Palestinians, literally ever. So Putin made a pretty wild statement that I thought was definitely out of the blue, but definitely worth including here.
Это не мне решать, кому присуждать премию. Во-первых, мне кажется, и вряд ли кто-нибудь из вас или из ваших зрителей будет возражать, вряд ли. Сейчас скажу, что я имею в виду. Были комитет этот, присуждал Нобелевскую премию для мира, ничего не сделали. И, на мой взгляд, этими они нанесли огромный ущерб этой премии. Ну, человек пришел, хороший, там, месяц, за что? Вообще ничего не сделал. Ну, работает. И поэтому авторитет, мне кажется, он в значительной степени утрачен. Но...
Don't misunderstand. I understand the irony of Vladimir Putin talking about the credibility of the Nobel Peace Prize, all right? I understand the irony here.
Мне судить, но достоин ли недостоин действующий президент США Нобелевской премии, я не знаю. Но он реально много делал для того, чтобы разрешить такие десятилетиями длящиеся, годами, а то и десятилетиями длящиеся кризисы. И уже я говорил точно, я знаю, кризис на Украине, он искренне стремится к этому.
Ukraine situation, brother. What are you talking? What are you talking? Oh my God.
Может быть, еще нам многое удастся сделать на основе договоренности и обсуждения в Анкоридже. Но он старается, точно работает над вопросами достижения мира и разрешения сложных международных. Вот самые.
Vladimir Putin endorsed Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. No one ever understood anything about this. Anyway, so I'm going to give you some news that's going on. So as you can see, here are crowds in Gaza chanting Free Palestine. In Gaza, stopping the Red Cross from returning the hostages. I don't remember the Jews doing this in the Holocaust, guys. I'm starting to think that there wasn't a Holocaust in Gaza.
Hello! Jews! Free Palestine!
Yeah, imagine harassing hostages that were kept in torture dungeons for 2 years on their way out. That's pretty fucked up. Anyway, I don't remember the victims of the Holocaust blocking Red Cross vehicles. Now, I saw this meme, and this is one of the craziest memes. President Obama says, let's negotiate. I will blow shit up. Let's negotiate, says Biden. I will blow shit up. Trump, I will blow shit up. Let's negotiate. I think that pretty much sums it up. I'm not going to lie. It pretty much sums up the strat. Now, this is Mehdi Hassan. He's another guy named Hassan who, interestingly enough, supports Hamas. One of the ways that the Gaza genocide is worse than a lot of the previous genocides like Rwanda and the Holocaust. Are you on the same page? Are you on the same page? It is that you didn't have Hutus or Nazis mocking the genocide after it was over. They were shunned, de-radicalized, and prosecuted. According to Mehdi Hassan, the Gaza genocide is worse than the Holocaust and the Rwanda genocide. What do you even fucking do with these people? Like, they're literally not living in reality. It's insane. Hamas is the only army in the world that wears civilian clothes during war and puts on uniforms during ceasefire. Completely true. This has 86,000 likes. People are starting to notice that they were lied to for years. So, you have to understand. Everyone that blames Israel of committing war crimes, sure, whatever. You could, again, criticize Israel as much as you want. Everyone has the right to do that. Anyone that blames Israel for committing war crimes or whatever has to realize that they are up against the most immoral, anti-law fighting force in the history of the world. A fighting force that literally wears civilian clothes, which is a war crime, that embeds itself in civilian populations, which is a war crime, that hides under civilian populations, which is a war crime, that rapes, kidnaps people, which is a war crime, that literally hides in hospitals and schools, war crime, that uses child soldiers, war crime. So again, you have to understand the perspective of, what's actually going on. When we're looking at both sides of this conflict, it's really fucking insane to hear the way the world is covering it, to be honest. So this is Marco Rubio saying that all the woke governments on the planet made it worse.
Have you noticed that the talks with Hamas fell apart on the day Macron made the unilateral decision that he's going to recognize a Palestinian state? And then you have other people come forward, other countries say, well, if there's not a ceasefire by September, we're going to recognize a Palestinian state. Well,
so all these woke people, Macron, Keir Starmer from England, Carney from Canada, these woke retards caused the deaths of hundreds more Palestinians that there needed to be, because essentially they decided to go out and be like, yeah, we're going to cave to the Muslim populations that are growing in our countries and are trying to conquer us. We are going to cave to them by announcing a Palestinian state to essentially reward Hamas for their terrorist atrocities so that Hamas could fucking stay and continue doing the shit that they do.
I basically conclude, let's not do a ceasefire. Right. Because we can be rewarded.
That's right. Why should Hamas ever do a ceasefire? I mean, let's be real here. They're getting rewarded by the governments. It's crazy.
Claim it as a victory. So those messages, while largely symbolic in their minds, actually have made it harder to get peace and harder to achieve a deal with Hamas.
Yeah, so the woke people are straight up the pro-killing Palestinian side here.
And I have a prediction that Marco will go down, I mean this, as the greatest Secretary of State in the history of the United States. I believe that. I believe it.
So, as much as all the wokies want to say that they virtue signal to oblivion, there's only one man who honestly you have to thank here, and it's the guy you've been calling a fascist.
Well, see, now you can be a little bit nicer, Bibi, because you're not at war anymore, Bibi.
Yeah, be nicer, Bibi. Dude, so yeah, he's the only guy, I'll be real here. We have to thank God first and foremost, and secondly, God's soldier and servant, Trump, who realistically fucking cooked. He did. Even you know who else thinks so? The people in Gaza. This is in Gaza. Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Hassan, I found some people whose lives are better under Trump's administration. They're chanting Trump's name in Israel and in Gaza. Holy fucking shit, this is insane. Blessed are the peacemakers. For real, for real. This is nutty. Dude, this swamp creature. Oh, he follows me. Swamp creature. Hell yeah. Thank you, Swamp Creature. Very cool. Definitely follow me on Twitter. It's definitely a thing to do. So this is, again, an incredible moment. Hostages returned by Israelis after 2 years in Hamas torture dungeon. You don't understand the joy, man. You don't understand the joy. Again, I urge you to try to imagine what this is. Imagine a Mexican terrorist organization kills 40,000 Texans and takes 10,000 hostages. And after 2 years of war, you bring them back. No, I don't see why America should just be like, oh, well, I'm sorry that there are going to be casualties to a war you started. We're going to let you kill our people now. No, that actually is, I am a nationalist first and foremost. And I fully respect a country operating their absolute utmost best for themselves. The number one goal of every country is to protect their people. And I don't know why we need to make believe that that's not what happened here. It's crazy. It really is. It's insane. It's an insane moment. It really is such an unbelievable moment. And to think that like the whole war in Gaza just didn't need to happen at all, actually. If Hamas wouldn't have fucking invaded and killed innocent people and taken hostages. And, you know, even if they did do that, they could have released the hostages. They could have done this 2 years ago. But they didn't, because they're a death cult and they wanted their people to die. And so did Hassan Piker and every single other fucking propagandist and pro-Palestine retard. Now, here's the crazy thing. Unrwa, this is the UN/Gaza alliance, which is very interesting that it happens. Pretty weird. They announced that there's no food shortage. Yeah, kind of crazy. The chief of Unrwa admitted it after the ceasefire. Scream and you know, no one's gonna fucking see this. No one sees this because the way the propaganda works is it obviously always shares the worst news. We have enough food for the entire population in the next 3 months, says Philip Lazzarini, the Commissioner General of UNRWA, the United Nations Aid Foundation, which was lying through their asses the entire war because they're also, you know, the UN is constituted of 50% of it is Muslim majority countries that are also kind of not too upset about the downfall of the West. Anyway, anywho to lose it. It's actually kind of insane that we're no. Donald Trump, send Ozempic to Gaza. Send in Ozempic. Sorry. But Nux, are you being mean? Yes, I am a mean guy. Definitely subscribe for more mean commentary. Now, you'll notice that all the anti-Israel commentators in America, and again, I have no issue if you're anti-Israel in America. I want to make this very abundantly clear. You can have whatever political fucking affiliations or positions you want. I just urge you to recognize reality. Says, who the fuck celebrates the end of a genocide? I don't know, the people that are fucking getting genocided? Everyone? I would celebrate if Muslims stopped murdering Christians in Nigeria. I would fucking celebrate. I'd have a really nice day. I'd have a hearty meal and a toast to the, you know, stopping of the murder of Christians in Nigeria. I don't know what this even fucking means. All right, my grandparents are Holocaust survivors. I could tell you for sure they were pretty fucking happy when they, you know, reunited with potential survivors in their family after their entire family was murdered, and they thought that, you know, like their entire way of life and world and themselves would die. Yeah, you celebrate when the shit ends. It's insane. How are you not happy? Just because you hate Trump. That's because you hate Trump, actually. So, why isn't the Gaza ceasefire massive news on Reddit? For the last 2 years, the Israel-Palestine conflict has dominated the news cycle. Propaganda! And somehow it's legit silent when the ceasefire literally happens. Shouldn't there be hugely popular mega threads about this? Because Reddit is essentially a propaganda arm of the Antifa retards. So these guys are insane. I'm starting to think that a lot of the pro-Palestinian people are actually anti-Jew. Wow, I'd be shocked to hear that myself. I do believe so as well. True. Thank you, Tay. Very cool. So first of all, true, and second of all, it's anti-West. I think it's anti-Jew, but I think that's just one symptom of anti-West, anti-biblical values in general that people are coming to destroy. But yeah, no, Jews definitely they're the first targets, it seems, because Israel is a much easier target than, you know, the United States. Obviously. So that's pretty insane, for the record. The fact that Reddit's censoring discussions about this, but it's literally been propaganda blasting everyone for years. Now, this is what's going on in Gaza right now. I'm not going to show you the footage or click play on the videos because this cannot be on YouTube. The Hamas regime is carrying out executions in the half of Gaza it still controls. You wanted to end the war before Hamas was toppled and demilitarized, and here you have it. Hundreds of Palestinians murdered by Gazans themselves, literally by Hamas, and different warring clans and factions are back at it and fucking killing each other. Now, again, this is all obviously going to be added to the Israeli death toll. There's no delineation of who kills who. Every person dead in Gaza for the last 2 years is immediately blamed on Israel, which, to be honest, the majority definitely were Israel. There's a war. Wars are shit. That's just reality. But if you also want to care about reality, you will note that Hamas literally kills their own people for disagreeing or anything. Again, this is Hamas gunmen patrolling Gaza, abusing and murdering Palestinians. But again, no protests. No free Palestine from Hamas protests. What about that? All right, so I'm not going to play this video either, but as you can see, these are Palestinians that are being bound and blindfolded and executed publicly in the streets in front of a crowd of people filming. All right, this is fucking barbarism. It's insanity. Hamas is getting to execute 3 dissidents. This is the group that Tucker Carlson insists is a political movement. Again, that's what Hassan Piker says too. Hassan says that they are a resistance fighters as they literally gather people around and murder them. This is fucking insanity. So, in case anyone cared about actual starvation, there are 25 million people starving in Sudan right now, but no one cares, obviously. Literally no one cares. It's heartbreaking. It's unbelievably heartbreaking. Why are you talking to me about Gaza when there's literally a starvation in Sudan happening? So, anyway, Gaza Twitter has been going insane. So this guy, Ahmed Smiri over here from Gaza, says, I'm a Holocaust survivor, free Palestine. 3 million views, 30,000 likes, very appreciated. So this is just a classic Holocaust survivor with a brand new watch, a fresh haircut, brand new sneakers. Honestly, he doesn't look starved or anything. So classic Holocaust survivor. Very cool. Very cool. It's all, you were lied to. You were lied to. Yeah, obviously there was tragedy. No doubt there was tragedy in Gaza. There were a lot of innocent people that died, like happens in every single war. But to say that this is like some sort of extra judicial war just because, you know, it was Israel or was funded by Western countries is insane. And people are falling for it because of the propaganda. And the leftoid governments around Europe, especially, the cucks in England, France, Canada, like those cucks are just completely and utterly reamed out by the retards that they're placating, that are cheering and chanting in the streets for the downfall of those countries. So again, this is everyone's favorite archetype of human, the fat woman in Gaza phenotype, and this is what she has to say. Al-Aqsa Mosque is in Jerusalem, by the way. Right, so ceasefire happens, the genocide ends, and it's immediately, all right, now we need to kill all the Jews in Israel. For the record, Al-Aqsa Mosque is it's a mosque that's built on the Temple Mount above the ruins of the Jewish and Christian temple that was built there 3,000 years ago. Again, they claim that Israel are the colonizers, because that's the way they see the world view. The world view is the colonizer-colonized paradigm, where anyone that's a colonizer, Jews, Christians, white people in general, those are the bad guys automatically. But Islam, they're the victims. Even though Islam is the #1 biggest colonial religion of all time. They are the colonizers. Like, if you look at history, they literally built their Al-Aqsa Mosque on top of the temple. And the Jews and the Jewish people. Right, what are we doing with them? They get out of here. All right, so ceasefire ends, and immediately the fat Gazans are talking about destroying the Jews and removing them from Israel. Classic stuff, whatever. No one's surprised here. So, Muhammad Smiri, The Return, Gaza, what a glorious sight. 70,000 likes, 10 million views. What an unbelievable thing as everyone returns to their homes in Gaza after being forced. Oh, never mind. Oh, oopsie poopsie. Oh, never mind. This is an image from January 27th. No, never mind. Never mind. This is fake. Literally a lie. Never mind. It's propaganda. Never mind. So this is what everyone's favorite Gazan person has to say after the ceasefire.
احنا في دين الاسلام رجال مجاهدين من اجل اما النصر شهاده هذا الدين راحوا تشوفوا
Yeah, tomorrow the men of Gaza will rule the entire world. I swear to Allah, we will rule the entire world. First of all, don't believe you. It's not happening. This is mega cope. All right, that's mega cope. But second of all, that's fucking retarded. So this is Khan Yunis. This is one of the major cities in Gaza, completely destroyed. And despite it being completely destroyed in a very highly dense civilian population, thank God, civilian casualties were actually relatively low. That's pretty crazy how that happened. I mean, again, when America bombed Japan, they killed 300,000 civilians in an hour. In this entire war, in a much more dense position where more bombs were used and more explosives were used, 60,000 people died, with a large amount of them actually being Hamas fighters, terrorists. So, I mean, yes, they destroyed the city. Absolutely. I guess that's what happens when you start a war and then lose. But, yeah, no, not a genocide. Sorry, not a genocide. Now, breaking news. Palestinians in Gaza are reporting that Hamas committed a massacre against the Dog family, executing 25 people. Where's the media? I don't know. The media doesn't care, and neither do the pro-Palestine people, because they never cared about Palestinians. They cared about the destruction of the West. In Gaza, they've opened a restaurant named the Nova Cafe. Now, Nova is named after... That's right, the music festival in the desert where Hamas terrorists went out and literally murdered Jews. They just popped over the border, they murdered and raped innocent people, and now they're naming cafes after it because, well, that was a glorious victory according to them, because they murdered 300 Jews there. So that's obviously a W, including a bunch of Americans. But anyway, lots of young children are lined with the Hamas inside Gaza right now, awaiting the transfer of the hostages. None starved. Pretty weird. If you actually pay attention to the actual images coming out of Gaza and not just what you're being told by... Let me just remind you, there are billions of Muslims in the world. Basically, the vast majority of them are more than happy to see Israel wiped out. Are you really surprised that propaganda is at an all-time high when everyone has access to the internet? Like, come on, dude. What are you even talking about? Breaking after the war is over. BBC reports Hamas did use hospitals as military bases, which we all knew from video footage that came out of Gaza, where they literally used hospitals as military bases. They fired rockets from hospitals so that when Israel would strike back and destroy the hospital, they would sit there and claim, I can't believe this would happen. What an unbelievable tragedy. They're bombing hospitals. It's a war crime, they say, as they commit a war crime. Now, I have to introduce you to this guy. This guy, Mr. Fafo, as he's been called, is a journalist / Hamas terrorist that's been in Gaza reporting every day for the last 2 years, all right? So if you've been paying attention to this conflict and you've actually been looking into the shit coming out of Gaza, you will have recognized this guy. So this was him celebrating the ceasefire. Anyway, this is him celebrating the ceasefire. The ceasefire, what a glorious day. And unfortunately, he is dead. He was killed. Reports are Saleh al-Jafwari, also known as Mr. Fafo, was killed in Gaza during fights between pro-Hamas and anti-Hamas people in Gaza. And, of course, al-Jafwari, Mr. Fafo, was on the Hamas side. So, again, terrorist / journalist, killed. They're blaming Israel for it, even though they were killed by other Gazans. You have to understand the reality and the irony here. Mr. Fafo survived 2 years of non-stop Israeli genocide but didn't survive a single day of peace and was killed by Gazans. Wow, it's pretty funny if you actually, you know, have zero heart. It's, again, I don't like seeing people die in general, but you fucking wake the shit up. Look at reality. Controversial, this is from a Palestinian guy, Ahmed Fouad Al-Tayyib guy. He is a Gazan guy. Controversial Gaza activist, derogatorily called Mr. Fafo due to his performative antics and well known for his support of Hamas and raising an estimated $10 million to build a children's hospital only to pocket the money. Many such cases. Saleh al-Jafwari was killed today by unknown assailants. He was allegedly accompanying Hamas's Saham unit during clashes with the Dogmush clan in Gaza City, possibly as a cameraman of sorts. Hamas-affiliated Telegram channels have announced his death, possibly as a way to incite further violence against the Dogmush clan and justify even more killing of perceived opposition and alleged criminal elements. And listen, Israel was like, let them surrender and get demilitarized. They were like, no, and now they're killing each other. Again, this is sad. It's so fucking sad. It's so sad that shit is happening. Zoran Mamdani, the guy that's running for mayor of New York City, his wife is literally praising the Hamas propagandist Salah al-Jafwari, Mr. Fafo. So you're going to tell me that these people aren't trying to conquer the West? Bro, they're literally celebrating fucking terrorists. This is insane. This is from Marada Waji guy, lady. This is the wife of Zoran Mamdani, the guy running for the mayor of New York City. Oh my God. Who used Hassan Piker in his campaign. The guy that said America deserved 9/11. He's running for mayor of New York. His wife is straight up praising terrorists. This is fucking insane. Oh my Lord. We're living in crazy world. So this is that same guy playing with a baby boy that survived an Israeli airstrike in Gaza. This is that same Mr. Fafo over here. We shared this video in 2023. Today, the journalist Saleh al-Jafwari, who has been killed after surviving 2 years of the genocide in Gaza. Who killed him? Who killed him, Times of Gaza? Who fucking killed him? Again, they don't want to tell you, obviously. This Palestinian journalist, Saleh al-Jafwari's last message before he was killed today, he shared this video, and a heartfelt thanks to anyone who supported and protested for Gaza, and now he's dead. How are we supposed to see this and move on and let Israel exist? All right, so this tweet is saying, let's kill the Jews in Israel, right? Let's be real. This has 500,000 views, 20,000 likes. He was killed by Gazans! Again, no one cares. No one cares. They don't care. They don't care about reality. And honestly, I just feel like they fucking don't know. They don't even know. They don't even know. The propaganda ran so fucking deep, they have no idea. They have no clue what's going on. Dude, you look at here's a great example. So, Valkyrae. All right, so Valkyrae is a popular Twitch streamer, 3 million followers. All right, this is a tweet that she made. Fuck ICE, fuck this genocide. What genocide? I suppose Palestine, I guess, because that's what they call a genocide, even when there's actual genocides happening. Fuck pedos, fuck animal abuse, hilarious. Free Palestine, and congrats Jason for hitting 100,000 subs. I, of course, responded saying, I care about the current thing, too, because this is the most virtue signal bullshit tweet. Like, the fuck this genocide has just become, like, part of the public vernacular. She has no idea what she's talking about, for the record. She has never actually done any form of research or critical thinking when it comes to Palestine. She's just friends with Hassan, and this is the way this shit gets broadcasted. Because if you ever say that, wait a second, maybe there wasn't a genocide. Maybe there were atrocities and innocent people died and war is fucking horrible, but maybe there wasn't a genocide. They will label you pro-genocide. I would know. It happened to me. I get hundreds of death threats a day for literally looking at this critically. Now, again, there's a ceasefire, right? Ceasefire in Gaza, but the Muslim Brotherhood Trojan horse, known as the Free Palestine movement, which doesn't care about Palestinians, as we've very clearly established by the fact that they support Hamas, who started the war and killed their own people, they're still protesting. That's pretty weird.
We're on the embankment door, so this march has just begun. It's starting here in Embankment. It's crossing Westminster Bridge and kind of looping itself back round to then end up in Whitehall, where we'll hear some speeches a little bit later on this afternoon. Hundreds of thousands of people gathering. This is the 32nd national demonstration of the pro-Palestine protest that we've seen here.
Again, they don't care about Nigerian Christians getting massacred or Muslims getting killed in Yemen, in Syria, in the Congo. They don't care about people starving in Sudan. They don't care about... This is the one cause they care about. because it's the Trojan horse to destroy the West.
In London, and people coming from all over the country to attend this demonstration today. In the words of the leader of the Palestinian Solidarity campaign, of course, we've seen the ceasefire deal come into effect in the last 24, 48 hours or so since that 20-point plan was agreed upon
Thanks, Trump.
all sides, but there is a sense from the director of the Palestinian Solidarity campaign that there is a sense of trust that Israel will keep up that ceasefire. And so here around us there are hundreds.
For the record, Hamas already violated the ceasefire, in case you were curious, because part of the ceasefire agreement was that they would return the bodies of the hostages that they've killed so that they could be buried in Israel by their families. And they said, oopsie, we lost all the bodies. This is breaking news, in case you were curious. So they already broke the deal. Anyway, moving on.
Hundreds of thousands of people that have decided to come out and demonstrate again today, because there is a sense that although there is now this ceasefire agreed, for people here supporting this cause, there is a sense that the siege for them, in their words, is not over. So here all around, as you can see, the site.
Right, so there's a ceasefire, but it's not over. Interesting.
It's of Palestinian flags and banners saying stop starving Gaza and free Palestine as well.
Right.
From the river to the
There is no starving Gaza, for the record.
sea signs here as well.
From the river to the sea means kill all the Jews in Israel. In case you don't understand, Israel is literally between a river and a sea. From the river to the sea means kill all the Jews.
Stop bombing.
I'm going to translate it to you because, again, this is all propaganda.
So would you talk to us just for a second? Why have you wanted to come out on this protest today?
It just seemed to be the right thing to do.
The right thing to do. Yep. It's all virtue signaling. Welcome to the hyper-feminized West of empathy for retards across the world that started a war and lost, instead of, people that are actually suffering. I mean, not to say that the Gazans weren't suffering. Obviously they were. But people that are suffering due to circumstances not at all in their control. Or, I don't know, the fact that your country is becoming overrun by people that want you dead.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of trust in the agreement that's been reached. Netanyahu can't be trusted. And also, I think it's a much bigger thing about who controls the world. So,
a bigger thing about who controls the world. The Jews! It's the Jews! Oh, God! Free Palestine! Free Palestine! What did you mean by that? Well, I meant kill the Jews. That's very cool, guy! Who controls the world?
Without getting into conspiracy.
Yeah, the Jews. We got it. Who controls the world? Right, we know the conspiracies.
Theories. It seems to me that there's a group of people running the world that seem to thrive on war and destruction. And ordinary people are just collateral damage.
Okay, well, thank you very much for giving us that sense. That's just one of the protesters who's been...
That's fucking retarded. Holy shit. Oh, my God. So, anyway, here's, in case you were curious, this is not, a surprise. So they'll say that this is a Holocaust, and they'll say that the Jews are Nazis for fighting a war in Gaza to get their people back. But if you actually, here's a supercut of Free Palestine people hailing Hitler. It's almost like Free Palestine is coded for kill the Jews. Or, I don't know, destroy the West, probably. That's probably the most accepted perspective in America. I don't think Americans that say Free Palestine want to kill the Jews. But I think it means to destroy the entire Western axis that the Western world is built on. That's what they're saying. Now, I think the Muslims that are saying it largely are saying kill the Jews. Don't get me wrong. Here, Palestine with a Hitler salute. What does that mean? Right? Bob Dylan, this is a singer in England. So what does that mean? What does that even mean? Free Palestine with a Hitler salute. What are you saying here? What's the message?
How fucking Hitler.
Right, so what's this about?
How fucking Hitler.
You're gonna tell me this bitch doesn't want to kill the Jews? Come on!
I already know how much I fucking hate these Zionists.
Zionists, not Jews. It's just Zionists. I'm pretty sure Hitler didn't make that distinction. In fact, Hitler actually allied with the Palestinians to kill Jews. You probably didn't know that.
Free Palestine. There you go. He's not scared. He's not afraid of his own opinion. There you go.
Brave. They're so brave. Yeah.
Free Palestine.
It's kind of weird how this keeps happening. It's almost like they want to kill the Jews. Now, again, I'm not trying to say that that's what's happening, but I am trying to say that in the words of this tweet, the fake genocide was the biggest misinformation campaign of the 21st century, and every useful idiot with a TikTok degree fell for it. And if you want to know more info, you could always look up literally footage of the Hamas atrocities and what was being fought against at hamas-massacre.net. I urge you not to do that because, unfortunately, it's incredibly graphic and brutal. People ripping people apart and celebrating their murders. It's kind of disgusting. And also, I want to make this very clear. I feel very deeply for innocent people in Gaza that were killed through all of this. I really feel terrible for them, and I wish this never happened. Unfortunately, war is very shit, and Hamas started the war. And there's no reason why Israel shouldn't get their people back and just let themselves die so that because an enemy nation is using human shields. With all due respect, I think a lot of the world is very morally corrupt and easily manipulated and fell for the largest PSYOP propaganda campaign to cause the destruction of, yes, Israel, but that's just a proxy of the Western world, in my opinion, at this point. And I think it's very, very clear here what is actually going on if you actually do the research. Now, again, I am biased, and I am acknowledging this right now, right? Disclaimer, I am biased, all right? I am Jewish, and I have lost a family member on October 7th during that massacre when Hamas came into Israel and murdered innocent people. I had a family member that was killed that day, and I will not lie to you. I fucking hate Hamas. I do. They're terrorists. They want death. They want their own people to die for propaganda, and they want their enemies to die. And with all due respect, I do support wiping them all out off the face of the planet, literally due to self-defense. And I am also very, very saddened by the amount of collateral damage that actually happened, because Hamas is, again, a terrorist organization that hides among innocent civilians, that literally dresses like they're civilians, that hides in tunnels under hospitals and shoots rockets from kindergartens. Yeah, there are civilians, and it's because of them. But there's no genocide. There was no mass starvation. They lied to you. They lied to you so badly, and it worked on so many people. So yeah, I am not afraid of having an opinion that people are going to disagree with. I know that this is probably going to be a really controversial video because I know a lot of people don't see it this way, and that's totally okay. And I urge you to do your research and make up your own mind and find your own conclusions and your own answers. But I'm just trying to put this into perspective. If there was a Mexican terrorist organization that killed 40,000 Texans and took 10,000 hostages, I would want the United States of America to fight for every single one of those hostages. And if they refuse to release the hostages and they refuse to stop hiding behind human shields, then the blood is quite literally on their hands. Deus Vult. God bless the peacemaker, God bless America, God bless Israel, and God bless every single person fighting for God in the middle of the spiritual warfare that is currently taking place. Bye. Like, subscribe, and this video was streamed live on kick.com/Nuxanor. See you there. Stay weird, man.